The Atlantic Ocean is black, not dark blue, not gray, but black. The kind of black that swallows light whole. It is April 14th, 1912. Somewhere in the freezing North Atlantic, over 2,200 people are asleep, laughing, drinking champagne, writing letters home, listening to violins, and dreaming about New York City aboard the largest moving object ever created by human hands. A little boy spins a top toy across the deck. A millionaire lights a cigar beneath crystal chandeliers. A mother tucks her children into bed. Far below the luxury, exhausted men shovel coal into roaring furnace fires, while steam hisses through iron pipes, and somewhere ahead of them, hidden in the darkness, is the iceberg that will change history forever. Tonight on Sinister Sips Investigates, we are boarding the RMS Titanic. We are going to essentially walk the decks. I mean, this is pretty detailed. We're gonna talk about some of the famous, more well-known people, and there's stuff throughout that we'll mention more because the ones that are on here are just a basic. These are the ones we need to hit.
Right.
And then we're gonna watch Titanic die. Essentially, it died.
Yes.
In real time, because Titanic is not just a shipwreck. It became a warning, a ghost story, a conspiracy, a cultural obsession. Thank you, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Oh, I love that movie.
One of the most haunting tragedies in human history, and somehow, 114 years later, people still cannot let her go. Because there's people like us.
Oh, yes. That's so awesome.
So, when you think about it this way, you're dressed in your nicest clothes, because this isn't like, you're making a Walmart run in your leggings and Crocs and hoping that you don't run into somebody you know.
Dropping your child off at school in your pajamas because you have no self-respect.
That part. I don't think about it if it's an elementary school drop-off line and you don't have to get out of the car.
No, but if you're walking your kid into the building, put some clothes on.
Please, we're begging.
We don't want to see, and put a bra on for the love of God. Nobody wants to see all that. It's early and we don't want to see that.
You've boarded the most luxurious ship in the world. Everything around you feels like progress, like elegance, like the future finally arrived.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was the first, this was
the peak of transatlantic.
Of
ships.
How you crossed the pond in style,
yes.
in elegance.
And you got to say you boarded the Titanic and you thought you were going to take it back.
Yeah.
Boy, were you wrong. People are smiling, music is playing, champagne is being poured like nothing in the world could possibly go wrong. Because all these elites are sitting there thinking, tis but another ship, we will make it back home.
Yeah, nothing will ever happen.
And the third class people are just lucky they got a freaking ticket.
Yeah, because they're not looking to be able to go back home. They're looking for a new life,
a
better way of life, something more for their families that they never thought they'd get.
And for a moment, you believe it. You believe you're stepping into history for all the right reasons. They really thought when they boarded this ship, oh, we get to be on this maiden voyage. We get to be the first. We won't be the only, but we'll be the first.
Yeah.
Yeah, it turns out they're both.
It was kind of a prestigious thing at that point. Even if you were a third class passenger, it was still the prestige of you were on the Titanic.
You were on a White Star Line ship. You weren't on the little dinghy hoping the whale shark didn't get you.
Yeah, or you pooping in buckets. You were actually in a ship. Yeah. And even though it was tighter...
A cruise liner, essentially.
Yeah, it was tighter quarters and smaller rooms and not as fancy as the upstairs, you still had an actual bed. You had an actual room that was yours.
And for a moment, the people believed it. I mean... They didn't know what... No one on the ship knew that they were stepping into their own funeral. Into their own gravesite. For some, for most.
Yeah, no, it was supposed to be stepping into their future.
Yeah.
And what that was going to hold.
And that's where the story really takes a turn. So, before Titanic existed, the world was obsessed with progress. Just like now, everyone wants progress. Mm-hmm. They want to advance things even further, even further, even further. The early 1900s were filled with industrial optimism. Humanity believed technology could conquer nature itself. Electricity transformed cities. Thank God they invented that.
Yes.
and indoor plumbing.
Oh, yeah, that too. Uh-huh.
I mean, I think I'd be okay with candlelight as long as I could have a potty.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like being able to go, doop, turn the switch on. Yeah, it's kind of nice. I like air conditioner. I'm not gonna lie. Not to mention, I don't know. I'm a little too stubborn for this era. I don't think they would have liked me.
Well, that and you couldn't have watched Bridgerton.
Oh, that's sad.
You couldn't have watched your Bridgerton.
Yeah, and women were still not encouraged to read.
Yeah, so
I would really be screwed.
No Zayden Ryerson. No Zayden Ryerson.
Oh. That's very sad.
Massive buildings rose into skylines. Wealth exploded during the Edwardian era. Why did they call it that?
I don't remember. I used to know, and you asked me, and now I don't remember.
Was Edward Cullen there? His little pompous ass
I think
self?
it had something to do with King Edward. I think.
Okay,
I
pompous
don't
ass. Got it. Especially among the European elite. No brainer. And one of the most important industries in the world was transatlantic travel. See, now that people get to know we Google shit during this.
Well, now because I can't remember. I've slept since then. Yeah, it was after King... See, I was right. It was named after King Edward VII. It corresponds to his reign on the British throne, which began with the death of his mother, Queen Victoria, in January 1901 and lasted until his death in May of 1910.
Okay.
See, I was right. I told you.
Ocean liners were the airplanes of the early 1900s. If you wanted to travel between Europe and America, you crossed the Atlantic Ocean by ship. You took the ship, not the dinghy, not like in Jaws.
No, you took a ship.
You took the ship.
And some people even got their way on cargo ships and
it didn't matter what ship.
Just transport, and it was not always a good thing because sometimes you might not make it because you get sold off to the pirates.
Exactly, because pirates
or the French Foreign Legion,
for real. And there was, with everything, companies that dominated the world, and in this case, it was two. It was White Star Line and Cunard Line. No, we don't really talk about Cunard because they didn't. They didn't have Titanic.
Well, you don't hear about them as much. Well, they also didn't have the Olympic. They didn't have
the Britannic.
These other ships that were
more
made the White Star, and the White Star Line was more
luxury.
Prestige.
So, Cunard had recently launched the Lusitania and the Mauretania, ships famous for incredible speed and luxury, but they took speed into more consideration.
Right.
White Star realized they could not beat Cunard in speed, so instead they decided to build ships so enormous and luxurious that it was basically a city on the water. I mean, they had a cafe that looked like you were sitting on a street in France. There was one that had
really cool
palm trees. I mean...
Well, you're not going to find, like, roller coasters and water slides like you do on the cruise ships today. You still found...
They didn't go Royal Caribbean. They went...
White Star. But it was very prestigious, and it was very glamorous and beautiful, and everything was to the highest...
of standards.
Yes.
And from that decision to focus on luxury came the Olympic, the Titanic, and the Britannic. Titanic was the second ship built. They were built in that order. And history would remember her forever. Now, fun fact, if Titanic had survived the sinking, she wouldn't have lasted much longer. Olympic and Britannic were used in World War One as warships.
Yeah.
And they both sank.
Well, and it probably...
Well, no, I'm sorry. Britannic sank. Olympic took a hit, but she was scrapped in 1934.
Yeah. Well,
because of damage.
And that probably would have been the same fate of the Titanic at that time period, because anything that were commandeered and made to use because it was a world war and it was needed.
Could you imagine, though, you're on the opposing side of Europe and, you just see this...
Here comes
Titanic. And, like, y'all... you commandeer it because you're like...
champagne flutes and a band on stage.
Exactly. And I feel really bad because some of the survivors had to fight in World War I and World War II. So not only did they survive Titanic, but they had to go through 2 world wars.
See, they should have just kind of been exempt from that.
That's enough trauma for one lifetime. So construction on the Titanic began March 31st, 1909, because we did not have our Milwaukee pack-out stuff. The Snap-on truck didn't drive by and take your firstborn son.
Everything wasn't prefab either.
No, they had to do it there. In Belfast, Ireland, at the Harland and Wolff shipyard. And if you are the person who is behind us in line at the Titanic Museum when I went a couple weekends ago, and you asked, well, where is Belfast? It's in Ireland. I came home and complained to my mom so hard about that.
Yeah.
Because I was like...
Okay, so the shipyard, it just keeps coming in my head. Wolfram and Hart from Buffy or from Angel, because it's Harlan and Wolf. But I can't help it. I had a Buffy moment.
We cannot get through these without making references to other things.
I know, but I really had a moment.
So Titanic was so massive that the shipyard, that Harlan and Wolff had to expand and redesign just to build it.
Mm.
So just to build the whole ship. And if you go now, they've got the outline of her.
Oh, that's so cool.
On the shipyard where she was built. So it's like they've cemented it.
Yet another reason why I want to visit Ireland.
Oh, I do too, but I only want to go for Titanic and the bars.
Oh, no, there's other things that I want to do. I want to see castles, and I want to see graveyards and
Leap Castle
and history and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, but I think you'd have more fun at the bars.
Oh no, that's a big thing. Yes, we were going to go there.
So, Titanic measured 882 feet long. She was over 92 feet wide.
That's a huge bitch.
I knew you were going to say it. One of us was going to say it. She was approximately 175 feet tall from keel to funnels.
Wow.
So, I'm assuming that measurement includes the top of the funnel and not stopped at the bottom of it.
Probably so.
At the time...
So sorry.
We're exhausted.
It's been a long day.
It's been a day. At the time, Titanic was the largest moving object humanity had ever created. People who saw her in person described feeling physically overwhelmed by her size. She looked unnatural, like a floating city. Over 3,000 workers helped build Titanic under brutal industrial conditions, because there was not labor laws still.
No.
Men balanced on steel beams without modern safety equipment. Duh. This feels like a duh moment. Like, this is like the duh slide.
I mean, come on now. They didn't have that then. Oh, look. James fell in the water. Oh, well. Send his family a pot roast.
While riveters hammered red-hot bolts into place, workers endured burns, crushed limbs, hearing damage, falls, explosions, and fatal injuries. You know, this still sounds
like... And they didn't go home and cry to their mommies.
This still sounds like a construction site now. How many times have I told you Cody got hurt at work?
But, I mean, seriously, though. They didn't go home and cry to their mommies. They didn't get their feelings hurt. They just went to work the next day and got their paycheck.
Yep. At least...
Because they were real men.
At least a handful of workers died during Titanic's construction, but the exact number will never be known.
Well, no, because they probably put a lot of that under the bottom and be like, shh, he was only 5, don't tell.
Well, workplace deaths were very poorly documented at this time because there wasn't like, you know,
well, and a lot of these,
OSHA.
Well, honestly, let's be truthful about it. A lot of these men that were working there probably didn't have families.
Yeah.
They were probably, you know, escaping from something or...
There's a podcast I listened to, and her great-great-grandfather worked at Harland and Wolff. And he helped build Titanic.
Oh, that's cool.
I think that'd be like my opening line. You know, you go to a Tinder date. My great-great-grandfather helped build the Titanic.
You're such a dorkfish.
Well, if they can't get past that level of history autism, they can't stay.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
I mean, and one detail people forget is that Titanic was not glamorous everywhere. Because, of course, it has to have moving parts. So there was grease-coated machinery, coal dust-filled air, furnace heat. This sounds like the bakery now. I feel like Papa's in the background talking just about the heat. It's getting to be summertime. Steam roared endlessly through pipes. Titanic was part palace, part machine. And, of course, machines fail.
Mm-hmm.
They always do. So... There's a big myth that I didn't even realize till doing the research for this. Titanic, you know, they everyone says the unsinkable.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, White Star Line never said that.
Oh, wow.
It was not ever actually advertised as an unsinkable ship. In reality, newspapers and public fascination exaggerated Titanic's advanced safety systems into legend. So she did have 16 watertight compartments, remotely activated watertight doors, revolutionary engineering systems, which, yes, to a common person who didn't know anything, would seem like
an unsinkable ship.
An unsinkable ship. She was designed to survive flooding in 4 compartments. It was up to 4. The problem is that the watertight bulkheads did not extend high enough.
Because they had to have more room for rooms and...
Yeah, and also, I mean, after that 4th compartment, it's done.
Yeah.
Once enough compartments flooded, water spilled into the next section like an overflowing ice tray. Titanic could survive 4 flooded compartments. The iceberg opened 6. And suddenly the impossible became inevitable. Which, I mean, if you think about it, a lot of that could have also been funding.
Yeah.
They spent so much money on the crew, on the luxury, that they didn't think,
and all the glamour and pretty
well,
stuff.
and it was also men, so they weren't thinking maybe we should add a couple more for safety. You know, like when you throw a couple extra diapers in the bag just in case.
You just never know.
You know, you pack 6 outfits for a 2-day trip because you never know.
Okay, you made me feel called out.
I get it from you. So, Captain Edward Smith. At the helm of the Titanic stood Edward Smith, one of the most respected captains in the world. Known as the millionaire's captain, Smith had spent decades commanding luxury ocean liners and was beloved by wealthy travelers who trusted him completely.
Okay.
So basically, I guess when they all sat around their little poker table with their cups of whiskey, they're like, who's captaining the ship? Oh, it's Edward Smith. Oh, I'm going to go buy a ticket now.
Yeah. Well, and this was also going to be his last voyage.
Yes, this
was supposed to be
retirement.
his retirement. And it was kind of an honor that he got to be the captain of this big, new, fancy ship that was going across as his, like, farewell from the company.
To passengers, Captain Smith represented safety and experience. But after the disaster, questions surrounding the decisions made that night, many historians still debate whether Titanic should have slowed down after receiving multiple iceberg warnings during the voyage. And that would have been Captain Smith's call.
Yeah.
But did he know what we know? That one of the crew members who ended up getting changed around took the key to the thing that held the binoculars. Not on purpose.
Right.
It just happened, like he forgot it was in his pocket.
And you also have to look at, if there's this competition with luxury and speed going on, was he kind of prompted from some of the higher ups? You know, this is your retirement. If you can get it there this time, we'll make the pot a little sweeter for you for your for your old age. You don't know. And that's not something they're going to come out with afterwards and be like, oh yeah, well, I told him not to slow down. I told him I'd pay him $1,500 more if he kept it going that speed, man. Yeah, I mean, they're not going to, I mean, would you come forward with that? With all the lives lost and the money from the ship that was lost?
No.
And everything? No. So it's going to, the blame's going to fall more on him than anyone else.
Yes. But regardless of where the blame falls, Captain Smith's name became permanently tied into the tragedy. Well, duh. He kind of commanded the ship. So, boarding began on April 10th, 1912, in the Southampton harbor. It's chaos. Steam whistles scream through the cold air. Dock workers shout over luggage carts. Families cry while saying goodbye. And then you see her, Titanic. Her black hull stretches endlessly beside the dock, while 4 giant funnels tower overhead. People stop walking just to stare. She does not feel like transportation. She feels immortal. Now, I know we'll talk about this, because I've got several of the... There's like 3 omens that should have been like, well, fuck, maybe we shouldn't do this.
Not a good idea.
While all this is happening, on this morning, they had their safety check. Okay. You know, the guy had to come out and be like, lower the lifeboat, raise it back up, put on a life jacket. There was a fire going down in the coal, like not the normal keep it going fire. It kind of damaged some of the metal plates. Like, it weakened them.
I put a Band-Aid on, it'll be fine.
Yeah!
Give me a whiskey, it's okay.
Oh, we're going to talk about whiskey in a little bit. Passengers boarded carrying trunks, letters, jewelry, books, dreams, and entire futures. And for some people, it was nothing because third-class passengers essentially sold their whole life.
Yeah.
Just to get a ticket. Some are wealthy elites vacationing abroad. Others are immigrants leaving home forever. And for one brief moment, everyone aboard believes they're stepping into the future. Because even if you're third class on Titanic was still nice.
Yeah, compared to what they would have got otherwise.
Most people in third class on any other cruise liner had to bring their own food.
Yeah.
And they had to bring all their own stuff.
And no one stole it or...
I hope nothing got delayed because at the time, it might say, oh, we'll dock in 2 weeks at your destination. But if seas get rough, it goes to 2.5 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, them being served meals from the staff, from the kitchen, was alone just like a new thing for them to experience on ships. So, this is where we go further into the detail of the first bad omen. As Titanic leaves Southampton, something almost goes horribly wrong. It's not the fire. The massive suction from Titanic's propellers snaps the mooring lines of a nearby ship, the SS New York. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
The vessel begins drifting dangerously toward Titanic before tugboats intervene. And actually, in the podcast I've been listening to, Captain Smith saved it too. Like, it wasn't just the tugboats. He had experienced this on the Olympic.
So he already knew.
And the Olympic suction actually crashed it into a ship.
Oh, wow.
So this is where the conspiracy comes out about the damages to Olympic and them switching the ships.
But, okay, so it's the SS New York.
Yes.
That's where they're supposed to be going. That's their final destination.
Yes.
It's almost like the line was cut, it was severed, that you're never going to see it.
Yep. This was God's way of saying, go back home. Wait another year. Wait a little bit. Global warming's coming. Many survivors later looked back on the moment and called it an omen, but Titanic continues forward to Cherbourg, France. I hope I said that right. It's been a while. Queenstown, Ireland, which is now known as Chob, its original Irish name. Queen Victoria renamed it Queenstown.
Okay.
So Ireland took it back.
Good for Ireland.
And then finally, New York City. And nothing, it seems, could have stopped her. First class aboard Titanic is almost impossible to comprehend. The grand staircase glows beneath a giant glass dome, while violin music drifts through the polished hallways. A luxury parlor suite costed over $4,000 in 1912. Now, do you want to know how much this was in today's money? Over $100,000.
Wow.
For a parlor suite on a ship.
And their luxury floor was a linoleum.
Yes. At least they had access to a gym.
Yeah, but I mean, that's like the cheapest flooring you can buy now is linoleum.
This was luxury.
It was so state of the art then, and a new thing, and it was luxury flooring. You would think it would be like marble or
granite.
Yeah, or something, but no, it was linoleum.
Linoleum. Isn't linoleum what's on the floor right now?
Yeah.
We literally have linoleum. Passengers would enjoy Turkish baths, cafes, fine dining saloons. Why are we calling it a saloon? Saloon does not scream high class.
Salon.
No, it's everything I've listened to pronounces it saloons. Libraries, squash courts. That does not sound luxurious. We're going to go to the squash courts now.
It's kind of like pickleball.
Smoking lounges, private promenades, a heated swimming pool, elevators, and the gymnasium. They had a gym. I thought that was really cool. They had a gym.
Oh yeah.
It's one of the things I've always found. And why you got a pool on a boat?
Well, you can't like exactly just dip your toes in the ocean.
No, but that's. I mean, hey, if you think about it, the pool's still full of water.
Oh. It's just not heated anymore.
No, it's just not heated anymore. It's cold as shit. Everything smells like perfume, cigars, polished oak, and fresh flowers. Yeah, this feels like it'd give me a headache.
Yeah, a little
The
bit.
perfume is what would get us.
Yeah, because this is going to be Granny.
And the next
perfume.
thing you know, we're going to be sitting there going,
All right, who stinks?
Like, yeah, I don't know if it's the cigars or that bug spray.
Somebody needs to take a bath. Go take a dip in the pool.
So this is where Titanic's elites reside. So you've got John Jacob Astor, which... Oh, it's not him. They think Bruce Ismay had autism. Because of how he was. Like, people... No, listen. Because of the way he was when he took over for his father.
Mm-hmm.
If you had a meeting with him at 12 o'clock, you could not arrive a minute early and you could not arrive a minute late. Like, there was little things that he done that was very similar to, like, OCD or autism in today's time.
Okay.
Hey, it's not like his mom took Tylenol while pregnant.
I know, but come on. I'm just...
Everything is autism.
Everything. Oh, your child picks his nose and has autism.
Yeah, so, you know, you have John Jacob Astor. You've got, I know his name. Molly Brown was in First Class.
Mm-hmm.
Thomas Andrews, that's who I was trying to think of. I was mixing names up. Isadora and Ida Strauss, which their little love story just is so sweet. Mm-hmm. Those are the people in the movie that are cuddling in the bed as it sinks, okay? So this is Second Class, and a lot of people don't talk about Second Class.
No.
You don't hear about it. So Second Class aboard Titanic is often forgotten because history focuses so heavily on the First Class luxury compared to the Third Class tragedy. So Second Class is just like the forgotten middle child. I mean, they are.
Yeah.
Second Class was incredibly important, and honestly, their Second Class was nicer than First Class aboard many other ships at the time.
Wow.
So, in 1912, a ticket would have cost $13 to $60. I would have boarded
Yeah.
Second Class. That's not that bad.
No.
I could throw out $13. But that's roughly $400 to $1,800 today.
That's just stupid.
Inflation.
That's a motherfucker.
Gas is $5 a gallon, but minimum wage is $7.25. Make that make sense.
Flip that hamburger, bitch.
Many second-class passengers viewed Titanic as the height of modern travel. They were not ultra-rich, but they were comfortable, and many still died alongside everyone else. So basically what it's like you don't fly economy, you fly business instead of first class.
Yeah.
They pick business. And to think that these people thought, like, this was it. This is the best travel's ever going to get.
Oh, yeah.
And then they lived to see the airplane.
Oh, yeah.
What's that? Cheated. What's that? A B-52 bomber? Whoa! So, they had access to libraries, smoking rooms, promenades, spacious cabins, elegant dining saloons. Their meals included baked haddock, curried chicken, spring lamb puddings, and tea service, which I just realized. I must have missed it, but I skipped, like, the whole part of the meals on First Class. It was bougie as fuck, okay? There was, like, roasted lamb and a mint sauce. You know, the shit you see Gordon Ramsay making? They had Gordon Ramsay. These guys have a step down. They have Guy Fieri.
Aww.
You cannot tell me he would make a smoked lamb and meat sauce.
Mint sauce. It's okay. You're pretty. It's okay.
I mean, come on. When you think of Guy Fieri, you don't think of beef Wellington. You think of something like this.
Yeah. Curried chicken, probably pretty good.
Yeah. Now, Third Class, which is completely different. It's louder, warmer, and alive. Irish music echoes through hallways while families gather around tables, drinking tea and talking excitedly about America. Little do they know if they make it there, the Americans are jackasses to the Irish.
Yeah.
We're sorry. And while conditions were simpler, Titanic's Third Class was considered unusually comfortable for the time period. I mean, it's what makes it devastating, but if you think about it, their Third Class was most liners' Second Class.
Yeah.
So it only got worse if you went somewhere else. So the third class passengers were primarily immigrants from Ireland, Sweden, Finland, Syria, and Eastern Europe. Many sold everything they owned to buy these tickets, which I do think I have the prices, and it's honestly fucking stupid in today's money.
Oh, I'm sure.
So Titanic represented opportunity, freedom, jobs, survival, and hope. Their meals were more like what you have at home now. Roast beef, potatoes, soup, bread, plum pudding, and tea.
So what they were used to eating.
Yes. And I think the price for third class, like the highest you could go was $400, depending on how many people you had and like the amount. So it started off at like, in today's money, $100 to $400. So walking through the boiler room recreation, you know, at the museum, when you walk through and there's a little shovel that's actually heavy. You would have thought it was like a play plastic thing for kids. Yeah, but no, it's heavy.
No, it's actually heavy, yeah.
It really changes the way you think about Titanic, because suddenly the fantasy of it all just like disappears. And you stop seeing all the chandeliers and stuff and like the sounds and everything. You know, it's different. You hear the fire going. You hear the machines. But below the deck, in the boiler rooms, suddenly Titanic, it becomes like terrifying. It can be a child's nightmare. The heat is unbearable. Coal dust coats the air while giant furnace doors glow white hot with fire. Titanic burned around 600 tons of coal every single day.
Wow. But at that time, it was probably doing everything. That's what was heating the rooms. That was what making the ship go, making the kitchens work.
They had to basically commandeer coal from other ships because a lot of the coal mines were on strike.
Wow. So
they had to like put other ships' voyages on hold to do Titanic's maiden voyage because it was a coal strike. So workers shovel coal nonstop while engines thunder, steam hisses, and metal groans. But they also renamed some of the positions, so the coal strike, like the people who were for the coal strike, didn't feel guilty, and so it wouldn't interfere with the coal strike. These men keep the entire illusion alive. Without them, the lights would fail, the engines would stop, and the luxury upstairs disappears. And when Titanic begins sinking, many engineers remain below deck, keeping power operational for as long as possible, and most of them never escaped. I mean, there was this one documentary I watched one time where the guy's trying to get out, and the airtight door crushes his leg.
Yeah.
So, now we're going to talk more about the people that you would have met on board and the important people. Walking Titanic's decks feels surreal because history already knows these names. Thomas Andrews, Titanic's designer, quietly inspects details about the ship, taking notes for future improvements. So he's basically like, you know, the little kid who's built the best sandcastle ever.
But he's trying to figure out how he can improve it for the next time.
Yeah, he's like, oh, that
you know, if we change that door there and make it rounded, it'll be prettier.
Exactly. Captain Edward Smith strolls the decks calmly, which always, like, you're supposed to be commanding the ship, but you always see captains depicted in things just roaming around.
Yeah, well,
but
I mean,
someone would have came and found them.
That's not their only job, and that's why they have first mates and things like that, because their job is also to make sure the people are happy.
Yeah.
He's almost like the host of the party.
Yeah. And Titanic, of course, was supposed to be his retirement voyage. Molly Brown laughs loudly in conversation, completely unconcerned with elite social expectations. Which I think
because she was new money.
She was, but they did a good job depicting her in the movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that was, like, spot on. Like, I believe her character more than Rose sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Because I was like, I know she's a real person on Titanic watching the movie, but I'm like, that's more believable than the main girl. And then there are Isidore and Ida Strauss, older, elegant, deeply in love, completely unaware they are walking toward one of the most heartbreaking endings in maritime history. Mm-hmm. And one that I wanted to mention, because I didn't put on here, Ava Hart. You know the scene in the movie where the little girl's like, Daddy, Daddy, no. And he's like, there'll be a ship for daddies later.
Yeah.
Those are actually the last words her father spoke to her. That was her in the movie. She was 7 when she survived the sinking of the Titanic. And in the 80s, before they discovered the wreckage, she told everyone, hey, the ship broke in half.
Yeah.
No one believed her till they found the wreckage in the 90s.
Because she was young.
Because she was 7, and they're like, no, you didn't really see that. And well, before she passed away, was trying to correct the history, because they were like, oh no, the other ship was like so far away you wouldn't be able to see it. It was like 19 whatever away, I don't remember the measurement.
Yeah.
But it was actually like closer. It's more like, I think she said more like 9 miles. Doesn't seem right. But on that open ocean, you could see that far.
Right.
Because they tried to tell her that the other ship that was supposed to have come was 19 miles away. It wouldn't have made it. But she's like, no, it was 9 miles away. I could see the lights on it.
Right.
Why weren't they coming to save us? If I see the flares, they can see them.
Right.
But yeah, she survived it at 7. And when I saw that video today, that was actually the last words her father spoke to her, I about started crying. Mm. So, Violet Jessup was part of the Titanic's crew. She worked as a stewardess aboard the ship and survived the sinking by escaping aboard lifeboat 16. Lifeboard. Okay. But what makes her story unbelievable is that Titanic would not be the last disaster she would survive. You know how I mentioned Britannic being a warship? She was a nurse on it. And she survived that sinking as well.
Yeah, I'm never getting near another White Star ship, White Star anything for the rest of my life if I was her. I don't care if you go to a building and it has a White Star in a picture. I'm not going in it.
Okay, so crazy enough, if they did actually build another Titanic to do the same path, I'd take it, because global warming melted all the icebergs.
See, I just think that's asking for disaster. I just think it's just bad juju.
I mean,
don't do that to somebody.
If they did build a second Titanic exactly the same way, but with the modern stuff, and they didn't do the exact voyage, but it was similar, I would take it.
I think doing the exact voyage is almost like tempting fate. And it's also kind of discrediting these people's memory and how tragic it was that they died that way.
Yeah.
It's just kind of like rubbing it in their face.
I would take it down to like the Florida Keys.
Yeah, but I'm not going no, I'm not doing that, because that's just asking for it.
So now we have Margaret Molly Brown. And she did not fit into the elite society. She was loud, funny, and opinionated, so she would have fit in better today.
She was me.
We would have went to Homer's with her.
Yeah, but she didn't care.
The wealthy old money passengers were often viewed her as socially improper because she was new money. She newly acquired her wealth, so she was new money. She didn't understand.
She wasn't raised that way.
No.
She wasn't raised hoity-toity.
No. But after the collision, Molly Brown becomes one of the strongest personalities aboard the ship. Survivors later recalled her helping passengers into lifeboats, urging crew members to return for survivors, and she threatened to throw somebody over because they wouldn't turn the lifeboat around to actually fill it up.
Yeah.
She, legitimately looked at them and said, I'm going to throw you into the cold-ass water if you don't go back.
No, it's because she knew it was wrong.
Yeah.
They were barely filling lifeboats, and there's all these people.
They were filling them half full.
Yeah.
And a lot of that was because they thought help was coming. They thought that the ship that was 9 miles away would be there, and they could ferry people back and forth.
Yeah.
And actually...
And when they also didn't think that it was actually... that the ship was actually...
Yeah, so she got nicknamed the unsinkable Molly Brown. But, speaking of the lifeboats, did you know Titanic actually had more lifeboats than was legally required at the time?
Wow. So
they were not even... They had more than what the law said they should have to go. And people were like, well, they should have added more. They should have added more. Well, they had more than what they were legally required.
Yeah.
They were actually doing their job very, very well.
In which now they didn't technically have enough by today's standards, but by then they did.
Yes, and no, they could not have saved every passenger on a lifeboat, but that was because the purpose of the lifeboat was to ferry the people to the other boat.
Yeah.
They were just supposed to go, boat, other boat, sinking boat, other boat. And they didn't.
But they also didn't think that it would be something that would be that catastrophic.
No.
That it'd be a thing. It was like, okay, well, the engine failed and we can't get anywhere. We're going to have to put these passengers on another ship to get them to their destination.
Yes. But now we come to Father Francis Brown, a Jesuit priest. He was the one who took a lot of photographs aboard Titanic. The one of the little kids spinning the top. A lot of the really famous ones he took.
Mm-hmm.
So, passengers reading, children playing, crew members laughing, Captain Smith, promenades filled with travelers. So, at the time, the photos felt ordinary because it wasn't supposed to be this big of a deal.
Right.
But because those images unknowingly capture the last peaceful moments aboard the doomed ship. I mean, they really did. I mean, he wasn't on there long. So he boarded in England, Southampton, and he leaves Titanic in Ireland after his superiors order him to leave the vessel. They're like, no, you can't stay on the whole time. You're not going to New York. You have to get off in Ireland.
Right.
So they unknowingly saved his life, but they also saved the history of those photos. Because he took a picture of the gymnasium. He took so many pictures.
Yeah.
It was like a mom going on vacation. 500 pictures later, my kid looking at the same fish.
Oh, yeah.
So then there were the golden days of April 11th through 13th. For several days, everything felt perfect. They drank coffee on deck, attended dinners, played cards, sent wireless messages, danced, socialized. At night, Titanic glowed against the Atlantic darkness like a floating palace, and slowly people stopped thinking of her as a ship, and it starts to feel like a home, like you're actually permanently somewhere.
Right.
But then there's the last normal night. There is something deeply haunting about knowing April 14th began as an ordinary day. People woke up late, ordered breakfast, read the newspapers, which I wonder if they just had a bunch of, spare newspapers.
Maybe?
Because they couldn't have had any. But, you see that even in the movie. They're reading stuff.
Yeah, or it could have been that they come across a wire and they had a way to get them that way.
Played cards, walked the promenade decks in coats to fight against the Atlantic wind. Somewhere aboard Titanic, someone laughed for the final time without realizing it. Somewhere else, someone kissed their child goodnight for the last time, and nobody aboard, not a single soul, could possibly understand that history was already moving toward them through the dark ocean ahead. It's sad. This is where it gets really sad. On April 14th, Titanic received multiple wireless warnings from nearby ships reporting dangerous ice fields directly ahead. At least 6 separate warnings were sent throughout the day. But Titanic continued to move nearly at full speed through the North Atlantic.
But if you look at it from the standpoint of the crew, this ship is so big, just ice in the water, an ice field shouldn't deter the ship. It shouldn't do anything to the ship. No, it should
honestly just go through it like nothing.
Yeah, because it's such a large vessel and it has so much power behind it. There is no reason why just an ice field should slow us down.
And honestly, at the time, it was not unusual. Ocean liners were expected to maintain their schedules, and many captains believed ships could safely navigate around visible ice. And they could.
Yeah.
But the conditions that night made it nearly impossible to see. The ocean was very calm, and it was a new moon, so there was no moon. There was no light. And the iceberg waiting ahead blended almost perfectly into the darkness. Above the deck in Titanic's crow's nest stood lookouts Frederick Fleet and Reginald Lee. His mama didn't like him. She named him Frederick Fleet.
Yeah, maybe it was a family name.
Searching the horizon for ice, but there was one problem. The binoculars meant for the lookouts had been locked inside a cabinet, and the key had accidentally left the ship with an officer reassigned before departure.
So you couldn't have picked the lock? You can't tell me there wasn't one person on that ship that didn't know how to pick a lock.
I'm just saying.
I'm just saying.
That meant the men watching the Atlantic that night were forced to rely entirely on their eyesight. Years later, Fleet would famously testify, "If we had had binoculars, we would have seen it sooner." Why did the toddler's dinosaur just go off?
Bad, T-Rex. Bad. Shh. You weren't on the Titanic.
That was freaky as fuck.
Stop it.
One missing key became one of the most haunting details in Titanic history. And if it's in a cabinet...
Why didn't they find a way to get the cabinet open? I mean, that just sounds like a little bit of triflingness to me.
They are men.
But still, that sounds like you just didn't want to do your job. You're like, we don't need that. I can see. Wait a minute. Let me get my glasses on.
Yeah. The air grows colder, the Atlantic becomes eerily calm, no waves, no wind, and strangely that calmness makes icebergs harder to spot because there are no waves breaking against them. Throughout the day, Titanic receives multiple ice warnings from nearby ships warning of dangerous ice fields ahead. Some messages reach the bridge. Others never do because wireless operators Jack Phillips and Harold Bride were overwhelmed sending passenger telegrams. So basically, because so many people were like, hey mommy, hey mommy, hey mommy, hey mommy, they didn't get all the messages. I promise,
dear, I'm coming home, and no, I didn't bring my girlfriend with me on the ship.
That's actually why one of the CEOs weren't on the ship, and it was Bruce Ismay, was because he was too busy fucking his French mistress. Wow. Let's just add to that little scenario.
The affair that saved his life.
For real. Titanic continues near full speed because the ship is modern, advanced, and safe. At dinner that night, first-class passengers eat oysters, salmon, filet mignon, roast duckling, eclairs, peaches and jelly, and French ice cream. How little was that? I mean, it's a duckling. They're like that. Like that. That's a little portion of food.
It's not an actual duckling.
You're telling me this now after I'm like thinking of it.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
I was really sad that these people were eating fucking duckling. So then what is it?
It's just duck. It's just
Why do they call it duckling?
Because it's more tender. It's not gonna be like this. It's just gonna be a younger duck. Like full grown, because like this you're not gonna have any meat. Think like Cornish hens. You know, we used to have little baby chickens for dinner. Because y'all thought it was cool because you got a whole chicken to yourself.
So, that's sad because that's like the size of my jalapeno.
No, it's not like that.
Jalapeno is not as big as you think she is.
Oh my lord.
You think my chickens are massive? They're not. They're not full grown yet. They have all their feathers though. There's one in my overall pocket. We're going to continue while she Googles this. Nobody realizes that they were eating their final meal. You know.
See?
What?
Young ducks.
Yeah, that's what I said.
It's not going to be like a baby duck. It's just going to be... It's not going to be the tough old grandpa duck. Okay?
Okay, so we are at 11:40 p.m.
Okay.
Lookout Frederick Fleet scans endless darkness from the crow's nest. Then he sees it. A shape black against black, an iceberg. Fleet rings the warning bell 3 times. Iceberg, dead ahead! First Officer William Murdoch. After all the stuff with the Murdoch murders come out, we have a Murdoch who's the sketchy family. Orders evasive maneuvers. Hard a starboard. That just sounds like it's made up. I know it was probably a real command, but that sounds made up as hell. Hard a starboard. Like I just see Jack, Captain Jack Sparrow yelling.
Have a jar of Jack.
For real. Reverse engines, but Titanic is too massive. The iceberg scrapes beneath the waterline. The sound is subtle, but the tearing causes a vibration, almost like a miniature earthquake.
Yeah.
A tremor.
Yeah.
Many passengers barely notice anything, but below deck, the water's already pouring in. Boiler room workers see seawater exploding through the hole. Thomas Andrews inspects the damage personally, and slowly the horrifying truth sets in. The Titanic is going to sink. This is like the kids who build the really cool ass stuff with the magnetiles, and you say, I'm going to set a 5-minute timer now. When the timer goes off, we have to clean up.
Oh, it's going to go back in the box.
I have seen kids make the best bug homes.
Yep.
And then you tell them, hey, buddy, we got to clean up. It's time to go outside. And they just look like you killed their dog in front of them. They're like,
not the puppy.
The ship can survive 4 flooded compartments. The iceberg opened 6. Titanic has perhaps 2 hours left. So think about that. You're the one who designed this. You're looking at it. You're setting in.
And then it comes up in your brain. Oh, I fucked up.
But also, if you think about it from a parent perspective, this is like his child.
Yeah.
He's sitting there, it's not gonna make it. It's not gonna fucking make it. Well, I did all this right. Witnesses later recalled Thomas Andrews moving through the ship, encouraging passengers to put on life jackets and enter lifeboats because they were all confused. They did not think they should have to enter the lifeboats. They were like, fucking why?
Right.
What the hell do you mean put this life jacket on? And, sad fact, the life jackets were made out of such hard materials that people who jumped off died on impact. It, broke their neck. So, if you figure that out standing there, you're like, I can drown slowly or instant death. What do I pick? One survivor remembered seeing him standing silently inside the smoking room, staring at a painting while the ship died around him. So he's already grieving the ship. He's like, okay.
Well, and he's probably laying it on himself too, that it's his failure, because if he would have thought to, okay, make it to where there's this many compartments that can flood, there's this many things that could do. If I'd have changed this, if I'd changed that.
And he's probably also sitting there going,
these people's lives are in my hands.
And he's thinking, am I going to save myself, or am I going to go down with my ship? What am I going to do? What am I personally going to do? Titanic was his creation, and now he was watching it disappear. So there's a difference between the ship sinking and people realizing it's going to sink. At first, many passengers still did not understand the dangers. The lights were on, the music was playing, the carpets were dry. They were like, oh, everything's normal. Below deck, the crew members, they already knew what was happening. They knew their fate.
Right.
The moment the scrapes happened and they saw, oh shit, we're doomed. Water was rising, compartments were filling, and there was not enough lifeboats. If people had came faster, I'm kind of judging the ship that didn't come.
Yeah.
I hope they all regretted their decision. I hope that when they got to those pearly gates, they had to pay for that. Because if they had showed up...
How many people could have actually survived?
Almost all of them. It has been almost proven that if they had at least started coming and getting passengers, they could have relocated to the Carpathia off the Californian to split up the massive amount of people, and they would have lived.
You probably would have lost some crew.
I mean, that was inevitable at the time. There was going to be some losses, but your passengers themselves would have been saved. This was the moment Titanic truly died, not beneath the Atlantic, but in the silence between realization and panic. Inside Titanic's wireless room, Jack Phillips and Harold Bride begin sending distress signals, whatever CQD means, and then SOS. Come quick disaster is what I'm thinking it means. I keep forgetting to look it up. Nearby ships responded. The Carpathia, the Olympic, the Baltic, and the Frankfurt. But the nearest ship, the Californian, never answers because its wireless operator had gone to sleep. The Titanic.
Oh, that was what SOS replaced the CQD.
Okay, so CQD probably meant come quick disaster. Crew aboard the Californian reportedly saw the fire distress rockets going into the air.
It was a maritime distress call.
Okay. But yeah, so the crew saw it even though that their the wireless operator had gone to sleep and didn't get the signals. The crew saw that there was distress fire.
Right. Well, they would have heard it too because it was very distinct.
But confusion and hesitation delayed the rescue, and this is where history changes forever because, like we've said, more people could have survived if the Californian had even listened to the flares.
Right.
At first, passengers hesitate to board lifeboats. Titanic still looks safe. The lights are still glowing, music still plays, the docks still feel stable. Why leave the warm ship for the tiny wooden floating boats?
Right. In the cold, in the
darkness, freezing darkness,
all alone,
in the dark,
where
in
no
the cold,
one will come, all alone,
and leave all your stuff. Leave everything
and
behind.
Split up because at that point it would have been women and children first.
And so lifeboats leave partially empty. Meanwhile, third-class passengers struggle through confusing corridors, searching desperately for ways upwards. And this is also where language barriers played a key because they couldn't really communicate with each other to even figure out where they were going.
Right.
Families became separated, language barriers, like I just said, became deadly, panic spreads, and slowly everyone realizes the truth that Titanic is sinking. The musicians continued to play as the chaos spreads. There was violins while the freezing wind tears across the decks. Steam screams from funnels. Crew members shout orders. People cry in terror. Survivors later described the music as surreal, like it was dreamlike, like they didn't really think it was happening.
Yeah.
The final song remains debated, though many believe it was Nearer My God to Thee. And they just played it on repeat. None of the musicians survived. They all went down with the ship playing their instruments. And, the one guy was literally, 22.
Yeah. They were trying to keep the calm.
Yep. A seat opens in a lifeboat for Ida Strauss, but she refuses. Witnesses later recall her saying, "Where you go, I go." Because she couldn't take her husband.
Yeah.
She remains beside her husband, Isidore. The two are reportedly last seen together as Titanic dies around them, and suddenly the disaster stops feeling... This isn't historic, it's heartbreaking, because these two old people, she decided she could not live without him, so she didn't.
Right.
The bow sinks lower, decks tilt violently, furniture crashes through hallways, glass shatters, the sounds become horrifying, screaming, groaning steel, steam explosions, distant music, the roar of the Atlantic. Then it breaks in half. The lights go out, complete darkness, and for one impossible moment, the stern rises nearly vertical above the ocean while people cling desperately to railings. And then the ship disappears beneath the Atlantic. At 2:20 a.m., Titanic is gone. And we only know that time because of pocket watches that were discovered on people's bodies.
Right.
That was I guess they gathered a group of them up, and that was the latest time.
That was the time that most of them stopped.
And no, this is not like in the movies and the theatrics where you can still see the ocean and things around you. This is dark.
Yeah.
Dark.
It's a different kind of darkness.
And that's another reason people questioned Ava Hart. They're like, well, how could you see? Well, your eyes start adjusting to the darkness, and you start being able to see in the dark.
And if you're already in a lifeboat, you're probably down, because you're down further, you're not as close to the lights of the ship. Your eyes are already adjusted.
Yes. This is the point in the museum in Pigeon Forge, and it bothers me every time. I get to the room where you see the big wheel, and you spin the wheel, and there's the creepy-ass iceberg room. Last time we were there, couple weekends ago, it was just me, Cody, and River in there reading the stuff, spinning the wheel, and I heard a ringing in my ear, and that's typically my sign that someone is trying to communicate with me. And it was like they were because I was turning it towards the left away from the iceberg picture.
Yeah.
And it's like they were saying, keep doing it, you can save us, keep doing it, you can save us.
Yeah.
And when I get to the iceberg room, I grip Cody's arm death grip, and he goes, "What's wrong?" I go, "This room has never felt right to me. Even in the 5th grade, this room did not feel right to me."
No, there's a heaviness in the room.
It is. And they took the big iceberg out of the wall.
Oh, really?
Thank God, that made it even creepier.
That's kind of sad, though.
It is sad, but I wondered if it was if with COVID. Bet you with COVID.
Oh, yeah.
Because once you truly understand how cold the water was, it was 28 degrees. 28. The disaster stops feeling historical and starts feeling terrifying.
Well, and you've also got to think about the fact that these people were not in lightweight clothing like we have now. There was a lot of wool and heavy skirts and dresses beating.
Yes, and honestly, for the people in the lifeboats, thank God they had that thick clothing on.
Yeah.
The cold water... The people who entered it directly experienced cold shock, cardiac stress, muscle failure, inability to breathe. Survivors later described hearing hundreds of screaming in the darkness before the voices slowly faded one by one, and then there was just silence. Mm-hmm. So they had to hear it all. So this is where the Californian was visible. Confusion, hesitation, delayed the action. I don't know why I started repeating myself in some of these. So, you see lights in the distance, you think you're going to get help, and then nothing.
Right.
Waiting for rescue, lifeboats drift through darkness surrounded by bodies, ice, debris, floating furniture. Some survivors are terrified because they're afraid the desperate swimmers to get on board will overturn the boats.
Yeah.
And, a few lifeboats eventually returned for survivors, but by then...
Most of the people
were
they've
dead.
already frozen to death.
Okay, this is one of the funny survivor stories. The chef, Chef Baker Charles... I don't know how to say his last name.
Jagon?
Jagon. He entered the freezing Atlantic water himself. He was reported to throw deck chairs overboard, giving people something to float on. Somehow he survived hours in the water before being rescued because he drank so much liquor
his body
temperature saved him.
Yep.
So
he didn't feel it.
So listen, if you're ever in this situation, grab the closest bottle of whiskey. You will survive. It sounds impossible, but So hours later, the Carpathia arrives after racing through dangerous ice fields. Crew members pull survivors aboard and provide blankets, coffee, soup, and medical care. And then the next horror begins of people searching for their loved ones, their children, their parents, their spouses. Approximately 2,224 people were aboard the Titanic. Around 705 survived, which leaves over 1,500 dead. Entire families vanished. So there was some children on the Titanic. Of course, people brought their children. Yes. So they had some, they carried their stuff, their stuffed animals, their toys, their books. Survivors later recalled seeing children playing in the hallways, and I'm kind of skimming through this because it's making me sad. It's kind of flaring up postpartum. Wealthy first-class families, middle-class travelers, and immigrant third-class families were heading towards America. They all had children.
Yeah.
Some children survived without parents, and some parents survived without children. But this is where the cute little book, Polar the Titanic Bear, came from. Polar was the stuffed teddy bear belonging to young Titanic survivor Douglas Spedden. After the disaster, Douglas's mother later wrote a children's book from the teddy bear's perspective describing the voyage and sinking through the eyes of a child. So, children who went through this traumatic incident could have something to read and understand.
To help them.
And somehow that tiny detail makes it feel even sadder. Because not long after the book and all that, he got hit by a car.
Yeah.
Yeah, he got killed by a car. He survived Titanic, but he was taken out by a car.
It makes you wonder. It was just his time.
Yeah. So now you have the Navratil brothers. So these were two young brothers aboard Titanic that became known as the Titanic orphans. Their father had kidnapped them during a custody dispute and boarded Titanic under a false name.
But the mother was able to get the children back because she was able to identify birthmarks on the children.
When the ship sank, he placed the boys in a lifeboat, and the father died. They survived, and for days no one knew their identities. But with newspapers and everything, the mother did find them, identified them by birthmarks and stuff like that. Shitty baby daddy. 101. There was at least 12 dogs on board. Fun fact. It was Pomeranians, a Pekingese. I just hear Hagrid. No bigger than a Pekingese. Bulldogs, a type of terrier, a Great Dane, and a French bulldog. Only 3 dogs were believed to have survived the sinking, which was the 2 of the Pomeranians and a Pekingese, because they were small enough to fit in your titties. They were small enough to be hidden under the clothes.
And the people probably had them with them.
Yeah.
At that time.
So, they were small to be wrapped in blankets and carried discreetly. One survivor later recalled hearing dogs barking nervously during the evacuation. They were carrying pets, but honestly, in that moment, as much as I love my Marley, if she don't get her ass in the lifeboat, Marley, come on, or I'm leaving you.
Yeah.
I love you, but we gotta survive. Now, Jalapeno's little bitch ass, she can stay there. She pecked me last night. Then jumped out of the coop and made me and Cody chase her around. Little bitch. So there was also a lot of interesting cargo. So, of course, you had luxury goods, fine art, furniture, jewelry, books, food supplies, a car. There was a car.
Yep.
Thousands of letters destined for America, which is why a lot of the postal workers on ship died. They were trying to get the mail off the ship.
Right.
Fuck the mail.
But the mail never stops.
That's when you go postal.
The mail never stops.
So you could
Come
post
on, wind, rain, snow, sleet, ice. It doesn't
If
matter.
I wanted to hear about the tragedies of the mail people, I would call my boyfriend. He worked there for 5 years. One of Titanic's most famous cargo items was a 1912 Renault Type CB Coupe de Ville automobile, reportedly owned by William Carter, of course, a first-class passenger. I don't think that should have to be explained. Yes, this is where they got the car scene from Titanic. Handprint.
Tell me like one of your French girls, Jack.
So of course the car went down with the ship because who the fuck was putting a ship on a lifeboat? They were also carrying over 3,000 stacks of mail, and they were trying to save it. Most died trying. People were still trying to protect letters meant for loved ones, which I get that, but at the same time, fuck the mail. Maybe they didn't want that bill coming from Europe to America. So now there's, of course, conspiracies that come along with this. People immediately search for explanations bigger than the iceberg itself. Because Titanic feels impossible, the most luxurious ship on Earth destroyed on its very first voyage. Some believed it was secretly switched with the Olympic for an insurance scam because of what happened with the Olympic hitting the little ship. I don't believe that.
But see, that's just the thing, though, because the dishes, the stuff that was found on the menu say Titanic. If it had been Olympic, it would say Olympic on it. It would say Olympic menus, Olympic. It's not.
And, of course, they think since they didn't put out the coal fire that damaged it, so they made it happen. So, and then over time, you get the weirder ones, the curses, the doomed artifacts, the elite conspiracies, the supernatural warnings. The people who have no better way to spend their time than thinking of conspiracies.
They've got to find something in everything, and it's just like the conspiracy that it never happened at all. It's just...
There's too much evidence on that one, but okay. So most historians reject these claims, but many people continue inventing explanations because sometimes the truth is just hard to accept because they were given a trophy for standing there while everyone else kicked the ball. So in 1985, Robert Ballard discovered Titanic's wreck nearly 12,500 feet below the Atlantic Ocean. There were still shoes resting on the seabed, dishes still intact, personal belongings scattered through the darkness. And this is when people realized it's not frozen in time, it's decaying.
Yeah.
You know, that happens. Water damage, rust.
It's also, in essence, it's a huge graveyard.
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't think that something underwater would start disappearing. And nature, of course, is taking back over. Mother Nature is reclaiming. When they went through reclaiming some of the bodies, some people just got tossed back because nature had taken its course and started eating them. Yeah. So there was a lot that happened with the bodies because the ship that came to get them couldn't get every body. No. But because some of it was also a timing issue. These people were bloated. They could pop on ship. And then you have that everywhere.
Disease and everything else that comes with that. So Titanic, of course, did not disappear when the ship sank. Almost immediately after the disaster, newspapers around the world became obsessed with Titanic. Songs were written, paintings were made, survivors gave interviews, books and stage productions appeared within months. But Titanic never truly left public consciousness because the story feels almost mythological. And it really does. It feels like something that you'd read in Greek mythology class. Oh, yeah. Then in 1997, Titanic changed everything thanks to Leonardo DiCaprio and Kate Winslet. Yes. Yes, and everyone wanted to marry Jack Dawson and him to draw her like one of his French girls. And they really did a good job recreating all of this. They did. They done. My favorite, and I actually posted an Instagram story, it's been 84 years. It's okay if you can't remember. Yeah. Do you want to hear the story or not? Exactly. But they really did do a good job, and they really did honor everything. The memory of the people that died aboard the ship. And it was, I saw it. Yeah, when it came out you saw it in theaters. It was awesome. I wasn't even a thought yet. No, I was in high school. If it wasn't for the guy, well, I mean, the guy I was dating got there like 2 hours early so we could get tickets.
But I mean, for this entire generation, and like you who had kids young showing me the movie, it kept Titanic alive.
Oh, yeah.
Because people were like, but this is a real story. Let me look more into this.
Yeah.
Or that's just me because I have, hyper obsessions. So, people who never cared about it, any maritime history couldn't tell you the difference between RMS and HMMS or whatever other little fucking abbreviations. Clearly, I don't care about this ship. I do know RMS stands for Royal Mail Steamship because I've watched so many Titanic documentaries. They started looking at passenger stories, survivor accounts, the wreck, conspiracy theories, the fashion, the music, the mystery, and that's why we have 2 Titanic museums, the one in Branson, Missouri, and the one in Pigeon Forge.
Yes.
And
that's also why you have all this other stuff that goes along with that. You have books, you have fan fictions, you have historical fictions, you have just people that have dedicated their entire life to nothing but this.
This is my history autism. This is when on TikTok they say every girl has an era of history. This one's mine.
Oh, yeah.
This has always been mine. Yeah, I got lost in the Titanic Museum. I got forgotten.
The only child that has ever been lost by me on a field trip was my own child.
It wasn't by you. It was by Grammy.
No, it was by my mother. But
because
mom
told Grammy to watch me while I played the little game at the museum where you go over the wreckage.
Because everybody else was bored and done.
And I was not.
So we were going to the gift shop. And then here comes my mother with not my child.
I got to hold a cup that went down to the sinkage. And the guy who was playing the captain thought it was so cool that a little 5th grader was so intrigued about the Titanic.
When we went back with Eli's 5th grade trip, he was still there and he remembered you.
Aww,
it was really cool.
I hope he's okay. I mean, I know he was old.
I would say at this point he has probably passed on, but he was a very sweet gentleman.
He was, because he took this styrofoam cup, the normal, standard styrofoam cup, to the sinkage. The wreckage.
Yeah, he's dived all over Titanic.
And when he came back, it turned this big, and he let me hold it, and it was so sweet. But, like we all just said, Titanic became museums, TikToks, all that. Ghost stories, memes. Yeah, Jack, I'll never let go. Drown, motherfucker.
Oh, yeah. And they could have both
in a
made
Mythbusters
it.
Episode.
They could have both made it. I'm just saying.
And this is, where people still debate whether Jack could fit on the door. Mythbusters fucking proved it.
It was a bed. It was a headboard.
It was a door.
It was a headboard.
It was a door. The Californian controversy, the breakup of the ship, what the final song actually was. And because it makes it feel more human when you think about it. And all of that. So, of course, nearly 1,500 souls were lost. In first class, you had a 38% death rate. In second class, you had a 59% death rate. In third class, you had a 74% death rate.
So sad.
97% of the crew perished. In total, 53 children perished, and this is only counting up until the age of 14. So if you go to the museum, it says there was 153 or 135. It's 135 compared to the script that says 109 because the museum actually counts above 14.
Yeah, but at that time period,
14
if you
was
were
an
above
adult.
14, you were an adult.
So 53 of the under 14s perished. Majority of that being third class children. Overall, 68% of the passengers perished.
That's so sad.
Total lives lost was 1,502. Total survivors was 706.
Wow.
And
at that point, in all honesty, the ones that perished on the ship, class was no longer wealth or anything. That was no longer
I just wanted to throw those percentages out there because I had it broken down number wise, but I just wanted to throw those percentages out there because it really sinks it in with the classes how much disaster happened further down. And maybe this is why Titanic still haunts humanity, because for a few beautiful days everything felt safe. People drank champagne and they played music. Okay, would you still board it if it was 1912? And you didn't know all this? I would have got on that fucking done.
Maybe. I mean, maybe. It would depend.
Like, I feel like you would have had to be in that time frame at that moment. Because now you would say, fuck no.
Oh, yeah.
Because
But at that time period, in that situation, more than likely you would have, because you would have been either traveling for fun or you were trying to start a new life.
And I mean, honestly, if there was a way to time travel, I would like to go to like April 12th when everything was normal and just see it all for a little bit.
Yeah, but then
and
get me out here before it
Yeah,
goes
and then I'm
down.
going back before April 14th. And somewhere beneath the freezing black waters of the Atlantic, the ship of dreams still rests in silence, a floating palace turned into a graveyard. More than a century later, people still can't let go of her story, and maybe they never will. Maybe it's the luxury, maybe it's the tragedy, maybe it's autism.
Maybe it's just obsession.
Still pointing at myself here. Maybe it's the stories frozen in time at the bottom of the ocean, or maybe it's because Titanic reminds us that even the grandest things humans create can disappear in a single night. So, Sinister Sippers, thank you for this an hour and 15-minute long episode. Sorry if y'all get bored halfway through. Feel free to pause and come back later. I'm not discouraging y'all from breaking this up into parts.
No. And there's so much more that could be talked about.
There is. We are going to cover the Branson Titanic Museum hauntings.
Yes.
And I skimmed through several parts. You can ask her. I started skipping slides.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of other stories and things that have been, that we've learned on guided tours and things like that for the Pigeon Forge that we didn't know from trip to trip it changed.
Yeah. Don't forget to subscribe on Spotify and YouTube. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram. And just stay curious, Sinister Sippers.
Bye.